Thank you. Good afternoon. So isn't it fantastic to be here again? And I think always when I'm in such a meeting, this is not possible to replace that by some online meetings and online trainings. And today, again, I learned a lot, so it's my pleasure to be here. So I heard from many parts of our industry and our network, I must say. And for me, it's always so fantastic to see and to learn how many parties, how many experts have to work together just to give, let's say, this small part of this powder coating on curtain walls. Yeah, but at the end, it's an immense know-how and an immense knowledge and a lot of people working in it. And that was made me always so happy to be in such meetings where we can really see how many people are working together and how this leads to one thing that I learned today, what actually our customers needs. The architects mentioned that. It's trust. So at the end, what is our main aim here is to create a trust in the things we are doing and the products we are bringing on the market. And I think the development of QUALICOAT especially, we learned worldwide about 500 companies and license holders are working with that. I think that shows that there is a really demand on it and there is really a trust created in this, what we call a specification. This is also something I learned from Mo today. Be very careful to distinguish between a standard and a specification. And the specification is what we are doing here for QUALICOAT. I also learned one thing, I'm a policeman. That is what Chris said from Tom Byrne, that he said, okay, the difference between the standard and the QUALICOAT is you have these independent policemen. Yeah, so yes, that's true. Somehow we are a little bit policemen, but I try to show you in this presentation, it's a little bit more than only being a police. Let's say, I rather would say we are partners, but of course, if something went wrong, we have to push to point with a finger on it. We do. I hope it's working now. It's a little so. Saying some words about IFO, we are founded about 27 years ago as an independent laboratory and engineering company in Schwäbisch Gmünd. We have meanwhile, so I could say, we are probably one of the smallest international companies in the world with in total 100 people working. We have locations in Schwäbisch Gmünd, where is our home base, in the Netherlands, in Dubai and in China. And everywhere in the world we are trying to bring the same services to our customers. And many of these customers worldwide are, of course, the same customers. These are all the international companies that are doing the pre-treatment, that are producing powder coatings. And of course, QUALICOAT is worldwide also one of our customers where we inspect actually in many countries beside America, almost on every continent meanwhile. So the testing services for QUALICOAT, this is what I'm talking today. And first of all, I would like to see you again. All we are talking about is the trust and how to create that. And to create this trust, it's also important that also the QUALICOAT inspectors, and this is part of the QUALICOAT specification, have to prove that they are able to do this job. Yeah? So not only that QUALICOAT describes a very detailed training program and requires a certain expertise from the inspector, even more, they have every few years an audit, they have witness audit, and also the national associations, like also Jan is doing that here, is witnessing our audits regularly, our inspectors regularly. So even the policemen are checked, and they have to prove what they're doing. What I want to show you now, we talked a lot about the technical backgrounds and so on. So I want to show you what really happens now if such an inspector is coming into a company. And for those here that are responsible for a quality department, they know that such a day for an external inspection is not a holiday. It's sometimes not an easy day. You have to prove on this day everything what you're doing yeah, you will be requested to show that. And if you see you have in a year 240 production days usually in a company, 2 of these days are actually blocked because somebody from outside comes unannounced. He will not tell you, I'm here in town tomorrow. So it comes unannounced, and suddenly you have to switch your whole schedule, and you have to treat that man. Unfortunately, we have no woman as an inspector. You have to treat that man, and he will go on your nerves the whole day. They are friendly guys, but anyway, yeah, I guess most people would wish he comes next week. Yeah. Okay, but let's say such a day of an inspection is for a company is really a challenge, and there's a lot of action. And the program of the QUALICOAT inspection is really, we go through the whole specification to everything. And that is, as Mo said, the main difference between the standards. QUALICOAT exists from many standards. The standard explains you, let's say, the targets, yeah, what you have to do. In the QUALICOAT specification, there is much more inside. It defines actually a whole system, how to manage the quality, how to manage the whole production control, and so on. It includes, of course, much more, like the qualified powders, the approved pre-treatment systems and everything. So that is all what we have to check during one day. And so it needs really some organization, and our head of the inspection department, Oliver, made this process map now. It's brand new actually in this way. But what you see, such an inspector come in and he has to organize first, okay, which parts we want to see, please prepare some panels, because we make really checks on real live production panels. So the production on that day will be really tested, and we really take samples from that day out in the laboratory and check there if they're really able to produce the quality that is required and is defined. And then, when that's started, we go through the whole production process. We have a look on the pre-treatment processes. That is actually the first step, the process control for the pre-treatment bases. And then we see what's happening. You heard from these discussions, like right from the panel before, the pre-treatment obviously is, let's say, from the part what a coater can do, one of the most important things. Yeah, so that is actually where, in Germany we say, where the music plays. I don't know if that makes any sense in English, but this is where we really have to focus on. And if this is not working, all the rest is actually not worth anything. And this is actually, I would say, the art of the coater, that he is able to have this process under control. And I think this is actually what QUALICOAT developed, that is really a system that proves and ensures you that this is really on a qualified level and it's working. I have here, we call that Sinner's circle. So it's not from the Sinn, it's from Herbert Sinner. He was a chemist at Henkel. So you can maybe guess it, he was specialist in washing powder. Yeah? So, but what he said and what he made is a basic in chemistry studies. The basic is, if you want to make a cleaning, then it's about chemistry, about mechanics, about temperature, and about time. Now these are the factors that must work together to make, let's say, a real chemical reaction, a process, and actually this is what makes a good pre-treatment, and how Oliver made it. Look in our checklist at QUALICOAT and feel the magic. Means all these points you find here. Why I put that out is actually because I want to show you what a QUALICOAT inspection is doing is not on a theoretical basis. It's really totally different from a kind of an ISO 9000 audit or any automobile audit you have. Yeah? It's really something where you dig into the process and you really check that this process is running inside the values that are specified. We have a documentation here, and so the requirement for a company following up that is really high. Yeah? So, and this makes the difference between saying, okay, we have that on a paper and we know what should come out, and from what you have really to do inside. And I tell you, for a newcomer in a QUALICOAT or a new company doing that, they have really sometimes years, not only months, they have really years until they are really on this level that they can do it without starting to sweat when the inspector knocks on the door. Yeah? So the same is totally in the practice is measuring the rinsing water. That seems at the moment very unclear. So there is a specification for the rinsing water. On the picture you see here that is a collecting unit. Yeah, you have to come sometimes in these lines. It's very difficult to get some of these dripping waters from the panels. The idea behind, again, is the quality of the pre-treatment. Yeah, I would say you rely on the product you get delivered from your supplier. That's clear. That's their case. They have to approve that, and it's approved, and it has proved that it can do in the laboratory. In the practice, it can do the job. But what you have to do, if you are a coater, what you expect from your coater is that he works in the right way with it. And here are the critical points, really, that he has all the conditions in a stable level, and especially the rinsing step is one of the very important ones. And here we really take the time to find out if this is on the right level. What's coming out of rinsing problems, you know, if I show here some failures, I show you always the worst case. If it would always like that, immediately we would not need much of a quality control, because here everybody can see it's not okay. The problem for us is we're talking about 25 with class 2, already 40 years of guarantee. The problem is what we have here and later in problems, and this kind of quality you cannot see so easily. So take it not such obviously mistakes are easy to solve, yeah, because you will not deliver that material. The problem is everything that is in between, yeah, that is, so let's say at this 85–95% of quality. What we have to do is we have to guarantee 100% quality. This is what we call the trust that is actually inside it, and we don't expect from the customer at the end, from the architect, we don't have to expect that he understands what is the difference between a chrome and a chrome-free process. What he wants to know at the end is, I want to have this color, I want powder in Corten. Yes, great, this is possible, but if we supply it, then we are also sure that this can do the job over these years. And that is, let's say, why we are doing this job in this way. Yeah, the next step for the inspector after that pre-treatment, where he is really in every bath and every tank, is the real quality check. That means he is really taking finished products that were produced on this day or are already in the storage, means approved already from the internal quality control, and he really takes samples from that. Yeah, so even we check this again and take that in the laboratory and make a test on it. So in total, you see, we have here a very deep, we're digging really deep into the company. We have the quality control and the production. That means the stoving oven, the check-in house control is here included. So the inspector is going really in all the papers during that day. He has really a look in all the quality reports since the last inspection and so on. So that's really going very deep, and that takes usually in a good organized job. We can do that in maybe sometimes 4 hours, but we had already days when it took 8 hours until everything was checked. Yeah, so and we are satisfied with the result of that. Yeah, here I have one more example. The picture is not showing that. Here, example, obvious mistake. Here was it so simple. The powder, there was powder used that was already expired. So the color after the curing was totally different. Still a failure you can see easily. Also here we have unstable curing conditions. If it's so obvious, it's not a big problem. But the main problem is usually you don't see it when it's a ready product. Sometimes, most of the time, you see it only after 2 or 3 years. I have later a picture about that, when the color changes under different or the same UV conditions, and you have suddenly 2 or 3 different colors on the facade. Then you find out that the one was QUALICOAT approved and the other was something else. Yeah, that's what you cannot see directly at the end of the process. And this is what we want to avoid. And I think we are pretty, or QUALICOAT, to say QUALICOAT, is pretty successful with it, with a little bit the help of us. Yeah, so we play the policeman and sometimes the bad guy, usually the nice guy, because during such an inspection, it's for me always the change to have a training also for the people in the quality control. You see the samples from the production we have later in the laboratory. What we have talked today, not only the on-site inspections at the coater is a part of the QUALICOAT system, it also means that all the powder coatings and pre-treatment chemicals are tested at QUALICOAT. So that means what the coater is using is already an approved system, is already an approved powder coating. So there is a certain quality level always there. And also these powders and pre-treatments are annually tested. We have the outside weathering. We have at IFO, we have 4 of our own sites. These are more for R&D. Most of the powders are tested in Florida. And here at the end, just as an example, here you have a typical failure from a facade element where you have 2 different powder qualities. After 5 years, after 10 years, it looks simply horrible. Yeah, it's not fitting. So this was not an intention to have it in B color here. I have, Oliver, included a statistic, and I think that's an impressive one. QUALICOAT in UK and Ireland is growing a lot the last years from that. But what I want to show here is also even during the last 2 years when it was really difficult to maintain everything here, we had still the full inspection circle running. And it also belongs to the open. We had 2 repetitions. That means it is not that easy that you say, okay, I'm a QUALICOAT company, so I'm doing this job and the inspector likes me, so we are nice guys, I said, but it does not mean that you have to see us additional time if something is not right. And maybe to say that if it's not right, then it's far away from being a failure quality. Yeah? So we are insisting already, if there are small things not okay, we say, okay, this is the yellow lamp, the yellow flag, and if this happens 2 times, it's already the red flag. Yeah? You can see in totally, I think there is an immense know-how inside QUALICOAT with all the participants that are creating this specification. And I think with this independent inspection, additionally, that is something that makes it a whole system that should create a trust. And I hope you trust me for this next, for the next round of the QUALICOAT inspections here in England. Thank you very much for that.